Good evening and welcome. Here is today's news wrap and update. Today, President Biden departed for New York City, where he will join the rest of his family members to celebrate his granddaughter's birthday. Tomorrow, the president will participate in three 9/11 related ceremony in New York City, at the Pentagon, as well as in Pennsylvania. The president will be joined by Vice President Kamala Harris, as well as U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield, and other senior officials from the federal government and member of Congress, as well as local and state elected official, where they will pay tribute to Americans whose life were lost on 9/11, and as well as pay tribute to their families and the survivor of that tragic event. The president, as I mentioned, will travel after the ceremony in Manhattan at the 9/11 memorial site where the plane attacked the Twin Tower. The president will travel from there to Pennsylvania, to the site of the United Airlines where the plane crashed on that site. Afterward, the president will then travel to Pentagon to again pay tribute, and from there the president will return to the White House later in the evening tomorrow. And speaking of the White House, tonight is the presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris, who is also the Democratic nominee for president, and against GOP, former GOP candidate, the former President Donald Trump. We both hold their first presidential debate today, which is taking place in Pennsylvania tonight. We will bring you more updates about that either tonight, or you will see that report tomorrow. Earlier today, we spoke to some voters in Washington, D.C., and we asked them about what they expect to hear from from the two candidates today, and what are some of their issues. And later on, at the end of this news report, you will see that report later on. But moving to other important topic and moving to Africa, we wanted to start the news on Africa. Today, the African Development Bank is celebrating a milestone, is 68th anniversary that it has been delivering for the African people across the continent. And in the past couple of years, as we know, under the leadership of President Akinwumi Adesina, there has been a boost in investment, as well as in financing and collaboration with partners across the world. The president, like earlier this year in June, participated in, I believe, the first time joined the G7 alliance, the G7 leaders in Italy, and they are working together with Italian government as well as other G7 leaders regarding boosting investments on the continent, and creating an enabling environment for youths across the continent. So we want to start our report there and wish the African Development Bank more 60 years more and more decades to come. The other story on Africa is the U.S. government today announced that it delivered 50,000 Mpox vaccine doses to Democratic Republic of Congo government. It is part of the administration, as we've reported earlier on, that the administration was the first to pledge on donating that 50,000 vaccine doses to DRC and the neighboring other African countries that are affected by the Mpox, by the current Mpox outbreak. This is part of the U.S. and partners around the world, the global effort to ensure that the outbreak is effectively responded to, as well as to help out the spread of the outbreak in the region where the 12 country where it currently is, and across the continent as well. We will continue to follow that report on that story. Other governments, Germany, Japan, Spain, have also pledged to deliver more vaccine to the continent, to the continent as well, and they are working with the African CDC, the African Union, and other partners and governments across the continent. As I said, we will continue to bring you updates on that news. And moving to another story that we are focusing on Africa, the U.S. and African and Kenya, we hold their heads strategic trade and investment partnership negotiation round in DC later on this month. The bilateral this negotiation is part of the bilateral agenda, enhanced bilateral trade and investment relationship that was launched in 2022, in July 2022. And over the course of the year, the two countries have held several negotiations. And this particular one, they will focus on agriculture, custom trade facilitation and enforcement, environment regulation practices, inclusivity, legal administrative matters, and workers' rights and protection. They held part of the negotiation last month. They held the seventh negotiation in Nairobi, Kenya last month. As our audience, we know about this. President Ruto and First Lady Rachel Ruto were in the U.S. in D.C. were invited to the U.S. For a state visit, and they were warmly welcomed, celebrated at the White House, as well as across the U.S. Traveled to Atlanta, and they were warmly welcomed by African diaspora as well as member of the administration, and several deals and initiatives, including digital investment from Microsoft, were announced, and partnership with U.S. government were also announced during the visit. So this again is to enhance the bilateral trade and investment between the two countries, to build upon the relationship, the friendship that have already been established. This is in addition to relationship with other African nations. So again, we will be bringing you more updates. The administration, as we reported last week, that they announced, like the report that showed data that were released, that over the course of the Biden-Harris administration, there have been $65.3 billion investment across various sectors, from digital technology to cultural and entertainment and film, as well to infrastructure. The Lobito Corridor is one of the major projects that the President Biden spearheaded on the continent, that we travel from Angola to DRC to Zambia, and now has been expanded to Tanzania, to improve trade and investment relationship between the U.S. and the African nations. So those are the topic some of the news that we are focusing on today. Lastly, First Lady Dr. Jill Biden, we travel on Friday. We travel to Montgomery, Alabama. She will be joined by Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, where they will highlight new universal pre-K program implemented under the First Lady Joining Forces program. Again, we will be reporting on that this week. And back to our reports regarding tonight's event, the presidential election. We travel, as I said earlier on, we spoke to American voters, and as well as independent voters, both members of the party, to hear their thoughts, insight on what they expect to hear from candidates tonight, and what issues are top of mind for them, and how they see U.S. leadership in the global world. So here is that report from earlier today. Thank you for watching, and tomorrow I will see you again. Thank you. I'm Kemi Oshukoya. See you tomorrow. Here is the report. Tonight is the debate. Will you be watching the debate tonight?
Yes, I will be.
Okay, what are some of the issues that are important to you that you will pay closer attention
The
to?
most important is what are the policies around the economy, of course. Definitely, like most of Americans concerned with the economy policies that's going to address that. Of course, I do believe there is an issue with our immigration policies too. So, looking to hear what the candidates' perspectives on those are the most important issues right now that I think need to be addressed.
For you, the economic and immigration.
Yes.
Why are those two, for you, I know you said those are the two important issues for most Americans, but why are they important to you?
And the economy is important to me. Actually, I'm a finance person, so I follow how the economy is doing. In my role, it's important for me to understand, how stock prices are going up, the inflation. And as an everyday individual, I see it when I'm going to the grocery store and I'm going to the restaurants. It's like, we have the stock market is booming and the economy is great as far as that aspect. We keep hearing why the inflationary balance of that. So that's what's important.
And immigration?
And immigration, but you just know it. And I'm not only talking about the southern borders, but we do have a policy where people can't come in. What I keep hearing is that the policy needs to be fixed, and it's not just the southern border. So I think, I was traveling last week to Europe, and you can't just go there without proper papers. And I think that's something we need to make sure that those policies are in place for the United States, because there is an overrun of resources, I believe, here in the United States.
So they've both laid some of their policy, both the former president and the vice president. Have you taken a look at those policies?
I haven't looked at them in detail. I mean, of course, from different, I do get my information from different sources. So I've looked at, from what's been provided from the news outlet, from the media. I haven't looked at the policy specifically myself, but I try to go to different sources on those type of things.
Okay. Speaking of the media, do you think the media is doing the best work to provide information to the public on both candidates? Because one of them I've criticized.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't use the adjective best.
Okay.
I think, for me, I think it's important to be able to get the information that's presented to you, maybe think critically about it. I just feel like there's always a slant no matter what the source of the news is. I try to think critically. My opinion is I don't think the average American does, but that's a different story too.
Okay. I guess my last question to you is, of the two candidates, you mentioned you are in the financial industry. The Fed currently this month is expected to cut the rate.
Interest rates in November.
Interest rate in November. So how does that factor into the economic policy?
Yeah. I mean, I totally understand that, that the president doesn't pass policy, but the president does lead and can influence policies made by Congress. But I do understand that the Fed sets those rates in an attempt to try to soften the economy and reduce the inflation. That's one thing that's going to happen by the Fed. But I'd like to hear just, how the candidates say their take on it, what needs to be done. I've heard, in my opinion, that, just some really big high sky ideas. But when it comes down to specifics, what are those things and how does that work and what are the effects of those things that they want to do, or either the candidates?
Okay, you said, I know I said like that was you said sky high idea. Can you give an example? Can you give some examples?
I don't know if you want an example of a specific candidate or not. I just heard a soundbite the other day. The person asked, one of the candidates was asking about, I think it was childcare costs, daycare costs, and it was like, oh yeah, we got to do stuff to get the cost down. No specifics about this is what's going to happen and this is the cause and the effect. Oh yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and some people will run with it. Yeah, they're going to fix it, but it's more than just, oh yeah, we're going to fix it. How are you going to fix it? What does it happen? How does it happen?
Okay. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for allowing me to talk to you. Tonight is the presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. Will you be watching?
Yes, I will.
Okay. What are some of the issues that you will pay close attention to tonight?
Well, I think clearly reproductive rights, immigration, the economy, and actually where the candidates are in basic issues about our democracy.
Why is democracy important to you?
Because the former president did not accept the results of the voters in 2020, and I find that incredibly disturbing. And so we need folks who are running for political office to accept and support the Constitution.
Okay. And you also mentioned that you will pay attention to the economy. As you compare both candidates, they've revealed some of their economic platform.
Right.
Which of them do you feel we move the country forward, or will be more inclusive, benefits majority of Americans, or we benefit here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think just look at the records of Donald Trump, who an incredible tax cut that really benefited the richest Americans. There was this notion that it would trickle down, but that didn't really happen. Kamala Harris is associated with Biden and put in place policies to really help the middle class. So, I think she's running on that record and she has ideas about how to make things better. I'm concerned about, frankly, former President Trump's ideas about tariffs, because all the economists say that will just raise inflation, and we can hardly stand to go back to high inflation. It's really problematic for working families.
We are in the capital of the world, DC, and so we, as you mentioned, we've seen what happened a couple of years ago. So are you worried about what will happen in November?
Well, I do think that there's a lot of that former President Trump and some of his trusted advisors use language either on social media or when they're making speeches that really provokes people and gets them very emotional, and not only uses language that is very provocative, but actually says things that are not true, and so people get pretty riled up. So I do have some concerns, but I also think that a lot of people kind of see through it, and most people don't have any of these violent tendencies. So I'm hopeful that we get through this election and it becomes clear that former President Trump is in the rearview mirror, which is where I think he needs to be.
Tonight is the presidential debate. Will you be watching?
I sure will.
Okay. And what are you hoping to hear from both candidates?
Much of their platform. With their platform, what they intend to do. How they're gonna. Kamala said she's gonna bring Back to the Future, and Trump said he's going to. I don't know what he's gonna do. I probably will have a deaf ear to him, because I didn't vote for him last time, and I won't vote for him this time. And I just don't believe in the man. You know?
Why? You voted for him the last time?
No, I didn't.
You did it?
No, I did not.
Okay. So what are some of the issues that are important to you that you will pay closer attention to tonight?
Jobs, housing, of course, daycare, food. These prices are sky high. You know, I said housing. Yeah, those things. Those things are to the common man that affects me. You know, in my 20s and 40s, I didn't pay attention to that because it was pretty much mild. I could manage it, but now I have to count my pennies. It's terrible. And Vice President said that she would make it for. She said that it would make a middle income. It would be better for us.
Okay. You said in your 20s you didn't pay attention to politics. Now you're paying attention to what
I
is
have
showing.
to for my not only for me but for my children and my grandchildren. You know, I need to know that they're going to be okay. Even though I don't know, I gotta know. I want to know. I'm curious now. Back then, I wasn't that interested in politics, like I said. But as you get older and wiser, you know, things become more important.
Okay. Some of the policy, both candidates, the Vice President Kamala Harris, as well as former President Donald Trump, have presented some of their policy. As you mentioned, the Vice President said she will improve the quality of lives for middle class as well as low income Americans. With what she has done under the Biden-Harris administration and what the former president did during President Trump during his presidency, when you compare both, as you pay closer attention to the debate tonight, what grade, if any, when you compare some of their delivery, what they've delivered, how will you rate that, and how does that equate into your decision?
Well, like they haven't debated yet, so I can't make a determination yet until they do.
No, I'm saying so the policy that they've worked on. You know, the vice presidents have worked with the current president, President Biden, and during the last 3.5 years, they've both delivered some of the policy agenda that they talked about. And now she's running for presidency. And people are saying, you know, like, well, in the past year, what have you delivered? As well as what the former president did when he was in office. So how do you compare both?
Trump has. I don't even need to talk about him because that's a definitely no. He did nothing. Because first you got to hear all the rhetoric that he goes through. You know, I mean, I'm still seeing him make fun of handicapped people. You know, then he got all these charges. Took 32 charges. He's a criminal to me. If I had his charges, I'd be in jail. And that right there makes me angry. Because the ordinary Joe would be in jail for those type of things. Kamala was a prosecutor. And I didn't know that much about her until the commercials that come on about her. Mm-hmm. And her demeanor, her delivery of what she plans to do as president. I can't say what she did with Biden, because Biden was president. She was in his footsteps. She couldn't make any decisions. She couldn't do this, but he was the president. So, I think now that she's holding her own, I think that she's done a great job. I mean, I like what she says. I believe she's just making it, her and Walsh is making it like they are common people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you can talk to them. They are. You can. If you saw them on the street, they would say hi. Trump would probably swerve and did. You know, so yeah. I just like her personality, him and Wall's personality and what they say. This man was a coach. He was a teacher for the people. So he knows how much milk costs. You know, he knows how grandma feels. You know, he takes to pay attention to his wife. And so does Vice President. You know, she takes time to talk to her children. You know, on the phone. You know, she's never too busy. That's what she gives me. That's what they give me. Yeah, I can't. Black jobs. Who says that? You know, he sees the inflation. He told at Malargo, he told this company that you're all rich. I'm gonna make you richer. You know, well, she says she's going with the unions because when the unions do well, the world do well. Yeah, it's just good. I'll listen. I hope I don't go to sleep. But there's always YouTube where you can go back and look at it.
So if you fall asleep, you will definitely watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely.
And you will discuss it with your family, with your friends.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. So tonight's debate, will you be watching the debate tonight?
Yes.
Okay. What are the issues that are important to you that you will pay closer attention to?
Immigration issues and housing issues, crime, you know,
Immigration.
typical American issues, yeah.
Well, immigration, housing,
Crime.
Crime?
Yep, crime.
Why are those issues important to you?
Because first of all, I got kids that's coming, you know, growing up, and I don't want them something tragic happening out here. And
So do you think that has to do with immigration or crime?
crime, most definitely. The immigration, not so much, but the immigration is just a lot of, you know, stuff happening because of that. You know what I'm saying?
Like what? Does it regarding job or?
You're getting jobs, it's overcrowded, getting houses. You know, they're giving out money to certain people and they're not giving other certain people money. So it's a lot of drama behind the immigration stuff. You know?
Okay. So you mentioned kids. I mean, both candidates have presented their platform on how to improve support for parents that have young kids. So how do you see when you compare both?
I actually think both administrations, you know, say they're gonna support the kids and say they're gonna lean towards supporting the kids, but you know, they change stuff once they get in office, so it's kind of hard to tell. But I do know Trump was giving out checks to the single mothers and stuff like that, so I can't say, you know what I'm saying?
But when you said he was giving out check to single mothers,
yeah, I think it was called a tax credit. He applied a tax credit.
But that was Biden.
Oh, maybe Biden. Maybe I'm confused.
It was Biden. It was given during the pandemic under the American Rescue Plan.
Okay.
Yeah, it was President Biden that provided that. Are you concerned about the economy?
A little bit, yeah.
Just a little bit?
Yeah.
You are doing okay?
Not at this moment, but one day I will. I'm working there. You know, I'm working towards it.
You're working towards it?
Yes.
But in the past, have you watched debates before? What makes you want to pay closer attention to these debates, to this election? Is there any particular reason, or have you always paid attention to elections?
Not really. I mean, I just, you know, it's not. I'm not super paying attention to it, but you know, it's a big issue and it's a big thing of discussion right now. So you got to pay attention to see what's going on out here.